Nigga acts about me, nigga acts about me, nigga acts about me, nigga acts.
What's up, y'all? This is Let's Be Conscious, and I'm back with another video. So for tonight's topic, I want to talk about this video I saw, and I'm gonna post it right here.
For real, because not only does my ID say female, so does my birth certificate. For real, because not only does my ID say female, so does my birth certificate.
Now, I did not know that trans people were allowed to, or had the had the opportunity to change their gender on their birth certificate. And you saw the person in the video, they was popping their shit like, yeah, you know, y'all really gonna be mad that I changed my gender on my birth certificate. I didn't know that was the thing. I didn't know it was legal. So I wanted to do a little research, and we're going to talk about some information that I found. We're going to break some shit down. And then I'm going to talk about how I feel about that. Right now, it varies from state to state. There's no federal mandate on, you know, if trans people are allowed, just if that's one of their federal rights. It hasn't got there yet. So right now, it varies. It's up to the states to decide if they can change their gender on their birth certificate. It's also interesting that the trans community will say gender and sex are two different things, but you want to go as far to change your sex on a birth certificate because, if I'm not mistaken, it doesn't say gender anywhere on the birth certificate. It just says sex. So if y'all feel like it's two different things, why would you need to change it? And then it's a document of live birth. It's documenting your birth. It's documenting your sex at birth. And that's one of my issues with trans ideology. I love people. I'm a good person, but it's the ideology that I have a problem with. If it's this air of trans people not having to disclose, you know, that's all fine and dandy that you want to do that, but what happens when a trans woman meets a man and this man wants to have children? What about his feelings? What about a man that a trans woman might date and she feel like, well, I feel like I'm a woman, I know I'm a woman, but you know you're not, like you're deceiving somebody. And when trans people, when they get into certain situations and they find themselves in situations they don't want to be in and something might happen to them, most of the time it's because they have not disclosed or they're dealing in secrecy and they know they're dealing with somebody that's sexually dysfunctional. You know, if you down low, if you creeping, if you got a baby mother, but you like transgender women on the side, I'm sorry. That's a sexual dysfunction because you're not being honest. You're not being open about it. That's a dysfunction. I'm going to get more into my feelings and my take later. And let's get into what states can do what and what states can't do what and why not. All right, so it's basically 4 different markers that you have. And different states have different things. They might require you to have 2 of the 4, 1 of the 4, all of the 4. Like I said, it varies from state to state. So those things are, you must have had gender reassignment surgery already. And you must have an affidavit from a physician verifying gender reassignment surgery. I would think that would be the same thing because how would you verify you had the surgery without having an affidavit from a doctor? But I guess they just like, you know, that's rule 2 is confirming rule 1. And you also need a court order. I guess you have to, when you petition the court for a name change, which what they do, you have to petition a court order for a change on a birth certificate, just like if, you know, in a heterosexual couple, if the woman questioned paternity and a guy came up and he realized he was the father, he would have to then petition the court to change that legal document. And finally, just an affidavit regarding gender identity. So I guess that might be, you know, something from somebody providing your gender affirming care. Could be a medical professional or anything like that. I guess that's also what they're talking about. Currently, there are 4 states that do not allow gender changes on birth certificates. And they are Kansas, North Dakota, Oklahoma, and Tennessee, which is really not surprising. I was actually surprised to not see Texas on this list. So I searched for them separately because I didn't see them in even the list I'm going to get into next with the states that allow it. But Texas currently has no process for doing it at all. And they have no, unless Vital Records or the hospital made a mistake and the parent lets it be known like, hey, you made a mistake, then no, you locked in. What you got is what you get. I'm sorry, what you have on your birth certificate is what you're stuck with. The following states would need you to have surgery, have had reassignment surgery already taken place before you can change your gender on the birth certificate: Alabama, Arizona, Arkansas, Georgia, Iowa, Kentucky, Louisiana, Missouri, Nebraska, New Hampshire, and Utah. Okay, so states that require just an affidavit, which sounds stricter than the former that I mentioned, is Alaska, Arizona, Iowa, Mississippi, and Nebraska. And the reason I'm going to say it sounds stricter because the physician also has to have it notarized. So I guess with the former, you just have to maybe just prove a medical document or maybe just show your consent to surgery, and that might be good enough. Or even something from your insurance provider. And these seem to get stricter as I go along. So next we're going to talk about the court order, if you need a court order and which states require that. Okay, we have Indiana, Mississippi, Ohio, South Carolina, South Dakota, and like I said, Texas, and Wyoming. However, for every state that I see listed on this article that I'm reading, it says it's basically up to the discretion of the judge. It's a legal gray area, which most LGBT issues are. It's a gray area, and the law has not caught up yet. But with the political climate in the states that are mentioned, I would assume it's going to be very hard. And especially, like I mentioned, Texas is on this list, but Texas has no process for it, period. Okay, now this next category is a little bit more lax. This is states that only require birth certificate gender change amendments, which means you just need to put an application for amendment, which is just a change to what you already have. You don't need a court order. You don't need an affidavit from your physician. And you also don't need to prove you've had gender reassignment surgery. Those states are Delaware, Florida, that's surprising, Hawaii, Idaho, Maryland, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Montana. It says amendment forms available, but there's no guarantee that it's going to be processed because of the current political climate. So they have the paperwork for it, but that's just saying most of the officials, they're really not with it. So if you file the paperwork, it's probably going to sit collecting dust somewhere if you do it in Montana. Pennsylvania, Virginia, and West Virginia. It is noted that the states that I just named that are kind of lax, while they let you change it with an amendment, they only have the option of male and female. Now, it's different states on here that allow you to choose X as your gender. You can have X. It could either be male, female, or X. We have California, Colorado, Connecticut, the District of Columbia, Illinois, Maine, Michigan, Nevada, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Oregon, Rhode Island, Vermont, and Washington. Okay, and the purpose of Gender X is to be an umbrella. And it's an umbrella for these terms right here. Excuse my finger, I'm going to pull up the screen and I'm going to list it out to you guys. I'm going to have to Google some of these and do a video on some of these because I have never heard of some of these. This is crazy. Okay, so I had to pull out my phone for this one. It's, like I said, the genders that are not exclusively male or female, including, but not limited to, intersex, agender, amalgagender, androgynous, bigender, demigender. Isn't bi and demigender? Okay, anyway. male, female to male, gender fluid, gender queer. All of these are okay. I'm sorry, you guys. Male to female, neutral, non-binary, pangender, third sex, transgender, transsexual, two-spirit, and unspecified. Goddamn. This whole shit, including the state breakdown, already made me feel like I was the damn Animaniacs. Insert 90s babies reference here. This is crazy. It's no shortage on content, I'll tell you. I'm gonna have like 6 months worth of videos just breaking down the genders alone. Jesus. Now, if you haven't watched any of the other videos on my page where I share my views about if I feel like trans people should be included in with lesbian, gay, and bisexual people, if it's a sexuality. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. But I'm going to do a light touch on that real quick. My views on trans ideology is rooted in just my logic and my sense of the word. And honestly, I don't want to share my womanhood with trans women. And that might be a lot coming from a masculine person, but I'm black and a woman. I can't take that off. I can choose to wake up and live a lie tomorrow. I can't choose to wake up and be male or be another color. With that being said, I'm always going to align with my black woman identity before I align with anything else. Until there's a medical procedure where you can change your DNA, I do not believe that you are able to change your gender. At the risk of being alienated by some people in my community, I'm just going to have to keep it 100. I'm not going to cap and lie for likes or views. Not saying anybody's going to do that, but I don't take time out my day and my schedule to come on here and be fake. I'm going to be me. Either y'all going to get with it or y'all not. You are socially constructed into your gender as well. You are socialized from birth, you know, as your gender. You come out, you socialize as a girl, all your stuff is pink, you got bows everywhere. If you're born and you're male, you know, you have trucks on, you have dinosaurs, you're socialized to be male, and that counts for something. And I don't understand how people can really feel like another gender. How can you feel like something you've never experienced? You can never feel like that. You can think you do. You can feel like what you think the other sex is, but you can never feel like what the other sex is because you have not been socialized to do so. You don't have the energy to do so. Women, we go through cycles like the moon. Men, they rise like the sun. We are spiritually different. You can't change that. I do sympathize with individuals that are going through gender dysphoria and everything that comes with it. The sadness, the depression, the anxiety, the questions. I sympathize with that. Like I said, it's not the person, it's the ideology. The fact that there's a whole community that wants to be deceptive, and I'm not saying all, but when you got a lot of people, and I engage with a lot of people online under different posts, and I've gotten some nasty comments from trans people when I just say things like, oh, you should disclose or stuff like that. Oh, why do I have to disclose? I had the surgery. I had this. I'm this. I don't have to say anything. That's not fair to anybody else. How can you say you... And it's all for the purpose of getting a relationship and getting to know somebody. But you're going into that, you're exchanging energy in the premise of deception and lies. And sometimes the situation goes bad, and that's why. You stop fighting for your rights when you start stomping on somebody else's. As much as the male species, and I'm going to say black male because black men affect my community the most. I only really interact with black men. They my only counterpart. As much as they annoy me, they have that choice. Just because you're transgender doesn't mean you should take their choice away. And I don't know if, women don't have that problem. Women are not unaliving trans men because they don't have a penis. However, you got some heterosexual men doing that because they finding something that they weren't looking for, which I feel like that's a male trait, to kind of be a little liar and be a deceptive, which means you can't change, even though you're trying to, everything about you trying to be feminine and female is male operated. It's aggressive. It's in your face. It's raunchy. It's overly sexualized. Male markers. And even though trans people, y'all not gonna like this video, however, I still gave y'all information. If you don't take nothing else from the information, from the video, appreciate the fact that I told you what states you can do what in, what you need before you do that, and some more states that are stricter and some states that are more relaxed. And also, for mostly this is geared towards heterosexual men, because heterosexual women don't have to deal with this from trans men. Trans men, even though I don't really support y'all still dating lesbian women, I can respect that more than being deceptive, or y'all want to unalive a straight woman because she make you feel less of a man, or vice versa. What if it was straight women unaliving trans men? But yeah, straight men, pay attention to the states that I've seen, that I've listed, where the information is also less, and stay woke, protect yourself. It's wicked out here. And I saw that shit in real time. I was employed at a place that did a lot of gender reassignment surgeries. And I used to think like, damn, like, this is a lot of women. Do the men out here really know? But I guess shit, they probably the ones paying for it. Please get down in my comments, y'all. If y'all like anything that I said, like and subscribe. I guess I gotta tell y'all to like and subscribe. I'm on here shaking my cup. Give me likes, give me subscribers, so I can keep popping my shit and talking to y'all, kicking knowledge, and giving a voice to the voiceless. Because I know it's a lot of people out here that might feel like me and don't know how to express it and don't have a space to do so within our community or outside of the community. You know, you welcome here if you share any of my views or if my views align with any of yours. I also like to debate too. If you come at me with some intellectual shit, we can go back and forth, we can spar a little bit, but I don't do all that nasty shit. When y'all start talking about, oh, you this, you that, and start doing that lowbrow shit, you can go ahead and kick that somewhere else. I don't get down like that. I'm creating an intellectual space. Alright, y'all, so let's be safe. Let's be conscious. Let's be honest. Let's stay woke. Let's not fight for something so much that it takes the rights away from other people. I'm out. Peace.
Nigga, X about me, nigga, X about me, nigga, X about me, nigga, X.